Hello and welcome to the Collavate Webinar. My name is Dean and I'm a customer care specialist here at Collavate. And here's our email, should you need to contact us for any of your inquiries or problems that you might have using Collavate. So to those of you who are not familiar with what Collavate is a software as a service product based on the Google App Engine and Google Drive and Google Apps for Work. And we specialize in adding three main features to Google Drive and Google Apps for Work. The first one is the approval process, the second one is document centralization, and the third one is tagging. With Collavate, you don't have to worry about printing or sending documents via your email attachments. Working together on a document and getting them approved with the addition of extra security and organizing your documents with tags have never been easier before. Collavate is built on top of Google App Engine. Google App Engine is a platform as a service product provided by Google. And since Collavate is based on Google's platform, it means that we share the same 99.9 uptime that is included in the service level agreement of Google App Engine. And this translates into 0.5 hour of downtime for every 1,000 hours of operation. This kind of service level can provide users with more stable runtime and safer operation than locally serviced products. For those of you who are concerned with protecting their information assets, we assure you that Collavate does not store any of the documents that you might create or manage. All the files are either stored in the user's Google Drive folder or the document manager's Collavate folder in Google Drive, not in Collavate. And in fact, we don't actually have any of the infrastructure to host any of your information. We use Google's infrastructure and just adds new interface and features to Google Drive. And there's an extra feature that everyone loves, the 5-level security feature. So in the 5-level security feature, an administrator can assign different security level to individuals and documents, and only users with the select security level can view the documents. So a user with a level of 1 can view any of the documents from 1 to 5. However, a user with the security level of 5 can only view the documents with the security level 5. And it is worthy to note that documents with security levels are signed cannot be downloaded, and users with not sufficient security level, they can't actually search the documents that are above the security level. So it's a really convenient feature to keep your information assets safe and have a workflow that is efficient and very productive.
Here to actually talk about more detailed actual usages and the big 3 topics we sent you an email. So the first one is all right. So the first topic is the simple way to categorize documents and files. So we all know that Google Apps for Work and Google Drive included in that is an excellent solution to get things done in the cloud. But however, unlike many of our expectations, Google Drive only gives users an option to really star documents as important. As you can see from the Google Drive, if you go to any files, you can only star it, but can't really tag it. So Google Drive doesn't actually provide that really important and convenient feature natively. So this means that organizing and sorting your documents and files will gradually become harder as the number of those files grow. But we can assure you that our tagging function will mitigate this problem. Of course, the original function or the features that Google Drive provide the folder can be a solution to some of this organizing your files. However, we have so many cases where having too many folders and keeping the hierarchies can be very confusing when the number of the files just grow too much. So how does Collavate tagging work? So I will first show you what the main screen of Collavate looks like. So when you look at tags here, we actually disabled a lot of tags for our sake, but I guess I'll have to show you our companies. So when you go into our main screen, you can see that there are only 2 tags here. I think our development team has disabled some of the tags for the testing sake, and this is what it actually looks like in our actual work environment. So you can see that there are 2 different color tags. The gray ones are the individual tags that are only used by the ones who created it. So I created these 2 tags. The yellow ones are called the shared tags, and these are created by the administrator of Collavate domain. So our company's administrator create this shared tag so everyone can use it. So using tags, you can search for multiple documents or files using AND or criteria, which can either narrow or widen your search. And how does this tags actually work is it's pretty confidential, but I can tell you that it's it's actually saving the tags data as metadata in the Google Drive, called C tags. And in case of emergencies, if something happens to Collavate, which often it does not, as you can see by clicking the status screen and looking at the current status of Collavate and what's happening with all the functions, and you can see it's good. But in case if it doesn't work, you can use the C tag function in Google Drive. C tag colon and the name of the tag. So I can show you the real example of how we actually use the tag in our real environment. So at Collavate, I have managed several guides or manuals for the users and administrator to use. So normally, if you're not using a tag, you might have to actually search it like Google Drive, and that might be very confusing and time-consuming. So I would have to actually go to the search bar and type guide, and there's a lot of results. But you would actually really want the ones that you work with frequently. And you can see that there are 2 files with multiple tags on it. So by clicking this guide I created, the tag I created for these files, you can see that there are only 4 different documents with the tags that's named guide. And this shouldn't actually be there. So by just clicking guide, now you can see that there's 2 main documents that take care of. And by using these tags, I eliminated all the other results that might be pretty much useless or not related to the work I seek. So by using tags correctly, you can really shorten your search time and actually make your work more efficient. And to briefly show you how tags are actually created, you can either click this plus button and type up a new tag and press enter, and it'll be created like that. Or you can click tags on the top right by clicking on a document and do the same thing. So how do you add a tag? So you click on a document, click on a tag, and either click on an existing individual tags here or the shared tags, or you can just create a new one like I just did. You can always get rid of a tag by clicking on the X. And it's like that. So here in our test account, we don't actually have a lot of tags because we had actually too many shared tags for our testing's sake. And our second very important feature is the approval process. And we really believe that this is a key factor in adding value to Collavate compared to just using Google Drive or Google Apps for work. So along with the added benefits of tagging your files, Collavate structuralizes your workflow with the approval process. So this means that there's no more trouble of printing your reports out or attaching those files to your email, making it hard for both you and your teammates. So Collavate solved this problem by bringing all these functions online with added security and convenience. So I'll go through the steps of creating a document from Collavate or Google Drive and get them processed for approval. And we all know that there's the first way of creating a document from the Google Drive by clicking New and selecting the type of document that you want to create. Or we can go back to the Collavate screen and click this Create button at the top. And let's say we just want to create, oops, give me a second. If somebody asked a question and Sean answered it. So let's say we just create a document from this menu by clicking the document, and a new screen pops up. And you'll recognize this main screen in the middle. So this isn't actually the Google Drive screen, and what's surrounding it is the Collavate's UI. So we actually add more functions to the existing Google Drive, providing more convenient functions. So let's just rename it for the webinar test doc. You can see that the name changes here, and it will take a little bit of time to change it in this Collavate UI because for the security measure, the Google policy doesn't allow for exact real-time application of changes. So let's say I created this document and I need to submit it with contents. Just filled out. So, and there are actually two ways to submit your document to your coworkers or your superiors. So, either way, it's actually very similar. So what's important is, so you can either check this document and click Process, which gives you this screen. But what's really important is this screen. So the left box actually shows a preview of the documents with the other information. You can add tags from here. So this screen and the screen from here by clicking Start Process here is actually exactly the same. It just looks a little bit different. So let's say I want to submit this to the admin account of this test domain we have. So what do you actually do when you want to submit it? So you have to actually input the people that you want to submit this document to, and there are actually 3 ways to select those people from. The first one being the favorites by clicking this little arrow, which brings a menu here, by contacts and organization chart. So if you go to favorites, it shows you the saved the people, the network of people that you want this document to go through. If you click contacts, it shows you all the contacts in your domain, but it does look a little bit unorganized. So you could go to organization chart and look at all these people that is sorted out by departments. Let's say we return to this fresh one, and I want to submit this to the admin of our domain. So here you can see it is added. So what's important to note is there's this number 1. So this means he's the first one to actually go through my document. If you want to add more people, that's after this. So the last one, we'll review this document. I'll have to put more people here, like. So I put this one here, so this person will have to review and agree to my document first. Only then it'll be passed on to the second person. So there's another case of having more people. So there could be multiple people inside one level. So when this happens, you would wonder what will happen if there's 2 people or more. So there's an option for the administrator to decide whether to allow for a proceed anyway option or reject when disagree. So if you enable the option that says proceed anyway, is called the parallel approval. So any one person out of multiple people can agree and it will be passed on to the next person. Or if you enable the reject when disagree option, everyone in this level has to agree for it to be passed on to the next level. So the administrator of the domain can decide accordingly if there's very important documents that it needs a unanimity, that you would want to enable the option that says reject when disagree. So when you actually selected the reviewers and you can submit your document for approval. So let's just remove sign in from this place for test's sake. And you can see that there are several options when you want to process your documents for approval. The group CC, and there's CC, the carbon copy. And you can leave custom messages for the people who will be viewing this document. So for instance, this is a test for our webinar. And you can see that there are 3 boxes that you can tick from. The first one is add as favorites. So if I click this button, in all these processes of the person and will be saved into the favorites section. In maintaining initial access privileges of reviewers, this actually contains the access privileges of the creator of this document too. So as it's passed on, this person can edit and comment all the same, and if you click this one, you can only view and comment. So this permission is kept throughout the process as the document is passed on to different people. And if you click make a copy of document process, it creates a draft, it creates a copy of the document, so you keep the original one in your file and you submit the created copy to your reviewers. And this is another function, publish contents and members is my template. So what this does is, I'll just explain briefly, all these contents, the document's title, the contents, the people, and all the reviewing networks are all saved as a template. So if, for instance, let's say there's a format that you use frequently, like a form to submit for your vacation form, then you might want to fill out all the contents, put all the people that will be reviewing your vacation form, like the people in HR. So you put all the information in and click this template button, and then proceed with it so it can be saved. And we have a tutorial created for the template function, and we can provide you the links to this tutorial in the end. So save as a draft, this is save as draft, and so let's go on with process. So you can see that the screen is loading and a message pops up that the title has been collated. So what happens is when you collate your document, you receive an email that's saying that you submitted your document, which shows the general information of the file you just submitted. Here. And what happens to the reviewer is that he also receives an email saying, here, James Lee submitted entitled. Now what's important to note is you see all the same information about the documents, and there's 2 links where you can follow the link to go to the Collavate's URL. I'll show you here. And there's the Google Drive URL. You click this and it'll take you to Google Drive's editing screen. So when you click the Collavate screen, it takes you to the previous screen and this screen where you can approve or reject. Or you can approve or reject in your email directly. So let's say we just approve it. And it says, do you want to approve this file? Document won't be editable once you approve. So this is a really important feature too. So once you approve it, you don't want people to meddle with it to alter any document results. So you click OK, and your approval has been saved. So we go back to the submitter. Again, you will receive a notification email saying that the admin approved your document. So this is the general flow or the workflow, how it'll happen when you're using Collavate. It's very convenient and fast, and it's very secure. You can do all these functions with a Collavate add-on. So let's say you're using a Google Drive, and so let's say we have all the contents filled out in the Google Drive, and you want to process it right away. But you can also, of course, see this document in the Collavate, but you might have to go through extra steps. So that way, if you want to just do it right away, you can go to the add-ons and search for the Collavate add-on and process it from the Google Drive right away. And we can provide this link from our homepage at the end of our seminar. So there's our final topic for today's webinar, is about the centralization of ownership of documents in the cloud. So we all know that today the cloud storage or any other kind of cloud platform has become a norm, and it is very fundamental to keep these information assets safe for everyone. So Collavate really aims to solve this problem by providing clients with various features to centralize these documents. So what happens with Collavate is when you submit your document for approval process, the ownership of the document is automatically transferred to the document manager of the Collavate's domain. So for instance, I created this document here. Let's look at, oops. Sorry. Right. So here you can see that the owner is Miss Joan, the administrator account when I actually created it first. So the moment you submit it, the documents are moved to the Collavate folder of your Google Drive. However, it is important to note that although this file is visible in your Collavate folder, it is not actually physically in your folder once you submit it. You can see this icon here. So when you click Submit, it is numbered and it's moved to your Collavate's folder as a link to the original document, which is actually in the administrator or the document manager's Collavate folder. So over here, when I go to the document manager's Collavate folder, oh wait, yeah, this is not the document manager. Sorry about that. So it has actually moved to the document manager's folder, and he will keep the original. And that's how we can secure the documents and the files in the cloud. So to briefly tell you about the examples and the importance of centralizing your documents, let's say that there's a really smart person in your company and he actually takes care of all the documents in your company. Like, he takes care of it as in that he takes the ownership of these documents. So if you don't have the automatic centralization feature, once he wants to quit your company, then it could be very troublesome to transfer all this ownership by hand. So by using Collavate and using the automatic centralization feature, you don't have to worry about the leakage of these important documents. So secondly, so all these files are centralized in the document manager's folder. So if you want to keep a backup of your important files and documents, you only have to archive the folders that belong to the document manager. And this reduces various steps that you might have to take if there are multiple people taking care of your company's important documents. Third and finally, so there's a feature called Remote Drive, which allows an outside users that are not your company's employees to work together in the same Google Drive and Collavate environment. But the documents created and the files that you work with are automatically transferred to the document manager in your Collavate domain, so you don't have to worry about the outside users that you're working with to taking your important documents, files, ownership, and thus you have to worry about all those other measures that you have to think of to prevent it. So this is the importance of the centralization of documents from Collavate and why we are very proud to offer this function. So I just showed you the change of ownership from the document here. Let's say if you click the share button, you can see you must ask the owner to invite the people below. So you can see that the ownership is completely transferred to the person, to the document manager. And also important to note, you can see that. So when you click the process button, the green process button, what happens is it is moved to the Collavate folder, it is numbered, and it turns green in your Collavate screen. So it is very easy to spot the document you just processed. You can see all these gray screens, and there's the green ones with the numbers. It's the domain's name and the category and the number and the dates. And you can set all these numbering rules by yourself, the administrator of the domain. And it's depending on your own taste. You can make it very easy to recognize how your workflow, how the company's work are actually carried out throughout the day. And lastly, to just give you a quick update on our latest update to our Collavate's very awesome features. You can actually customize all these names of your menus to suit your specific industry environment. So for instance, if you want to process a document, but for instance, let's say we want to use this in an academic environment. It's very feasible, and we talked about this. It is a very efficient way to handle multiple documents in a team. So, but if you're actually a student and working together with a team in a university environment, this process button really doesn't make sense because you're not actually processing it for approval. But let's say we want to centralize all this to a team leader. So we want to change this process button to submit. That is more friendly to students. And our update just enabled that option. So for an admin can change it, the admin of the domain. So by clicking the admin option and going to the custom view, we can change all these UIs, the buttons, and the names of it to suit your specific needs. And we have a separate link for this, so you can have a closer look to it. And this is our update to our latest blog.